Hey, what's up, Chicago? It's your mayor, Brandon Johnson. We're here for the annual Bike to Drive on a beautiful day. This Labor Day weekend. Just want to send a message to the rest of the world. This is not a hellhole. We're building the safest, most affordable big city in America, and we're doing it together. Let's get it.
Well, we've seen some emotional family members of one of those victims showing up here this morning, very distraught. As again, we have learned that there are 2 people who died in this shooting, a third currently in the hospital right now. It appears the crime scene stretches all throughout this building here behind me near 81st and Marshfield in Chicago's Auburn Gresham neighborhood. Now, police responding here around 7 o'clock this morning to reports of shots fired, and that is where they found 2 of the victims who were pronounced dead on scene. The third person who was shot is believed to be in his 20s, and he was taken to Christ Hospital with serious injuries. Several people living in this area say this building and block have been a hot spot for crimes recently. We are still waiting to hear from Chicago police about what exactly led up to the shooting. Local activist and pastor Donovan Price arrived on scene shortly after the shooting. He explained how devastating this is, as he says at least one of these victims is a teenager.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Most importantly, please make sure that you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. With the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today we are headed back on over to the People's Republic of Chicago. Why is that? Because we have to talk about Emperor Brandon Johnson, right? We have to talk about him because it appears that he's on a world tour right now, or at least a nationwide tour. He's on the Trust Me Bro, Crime is Down world tour, right? And he was recently in Baltimore, sitting next to the mayor of Baltimore, where they were trying to convince the American people in a press conference that crime is down in our cities. Trust me, bro, crime is down and the city is safe, which they are not. Neither Chicago nor Baltimore is safe. But in the midst of talking about how safe, their cities are and so on and so forth, the lies that come out of Emperor Brandon Johnson's mouth is just atrocious. It's a completely and utterly atrocious. Listen to this here.
No one is going to convince me what the Trump administration is doing against black people and brown people can ever be justified. It is racist. When you have black babies being thrown in the back of vans, zip tied in the middle of the night, and masked men sticking guns in the faces of black and brown people, that is nasty, is vicious, is racist. Dr. King described it as an evil. Militarism and that formation is an evil.
Dr. King's name has to be the most abused name in all of politics. And secondly, no black children had long guns put in their face, were zip tied and thrown in the back of vans. You should be thrown in jail for lying to this magnitude. Lying like this goes far and way beyond freedom of speech when you lie like this. And you're a public official. You're the mayor of a city, and you tell such an egregious lie. People will sit there and say, oh my God, you want to put people in jail for freedom of speech? At that point, that's not freedom of speech, and I stand on it. When you lie like this, you're trying to incite violence. That's what you're doing, and that's the point and the purpose when you lie like that. Let me play this egregious nonsense one more time.
No one is going to convince me what the Trump administration is doing against black people and brown people can ever be justified. It is racist. When you have black babies being thrown in the back of vans, zip tied in the middle of the night, and masked men sticking guns in the faces of black and brown people, that is nasty, is vicious, is racist. Dr. King described it as an evil. Militarism and that formation is an evil.
I don't think you understand how evil of a person you have to be as he's sitting here speaking on evil, how evil of an individual that you actually have to be to lie like this, right? Now, I just want to take a moment to just tell the truth about this situation. That's been told 1,000,001 times, but since he wants to continue on with this, let's talk about this again very quickly. Let me take this down and pull this article up very quick. Ladies and gentlemen, this image right here is the image that dummies were running with on social media, saying that when the South Shore apartment in Chicago that was raided because it was infested with trained dead with gang members, when that apartment was raided, people were pushing this false nonsensical picture around saying, look, Black children are being zip tied and thrown in the back of vans. You're all dumb and you're all idiots. That never happened. And this picture, for those of you who don't know, actually came from this man's TikTok page right here, Officer Evans Jr., 42.2. This was a video of him playing with his son, chasing down his son, and then putting handcuffs on him as they were playing cops and robbers. I'm not going to play the video here because, you know, it YouTube acts funny with that kind of stuff. But all I'm going to say is that if you haven't watched that video, it's the cutest, most adorable video in the world. It's gonna put a smile on your face watching him chase down his like 2-year-old son, and then his son like puts his hands behind his back and he puts the handcuffs on his son. He walks away with his son. It is the most adorable video in the world, and you have to watch it if you haven't already because it's so cute. It currently is sitting on 16.5 million views. You see right here in like the bottom left hand corner, right? But nonetheless, that's where this came from. And better than me talking about it, I'm going to let Officer Evans Jr. Speak on it himself because he did speak on it, and we're going to let him take it from here.
Meanwhile, this is what's happening to black children in our neighborhoods.
Hey, so all right, so apparently my video yet going viral again, saying that ICE is detaining kids. So they're using that picture, which is my video of me and my son playing cops and robbers. Literally, this is us. It's just crazy, like the link people will push in this lie on the internet, and I'm just lost for words. But if y'all don't know, me, myself, and my son, we live in Texas. We don't live in Chicago. Me and my son playing cops and robbers. Got a whole series on my page. I'm trying to figure out why people lying to make it political. Don't know, but it's sick as hell, and y'all need to find Jesus.
This man doesn't even live in Chicago. He lives in Texas. Understand at this point, everybody knows this, and everybody knows that that's a lie. Brandon Johnson knows that he's telling a bold-faced lie and continues to do it anyway. This is the DNC way, ladies and gentlemen. And then he goes over to Baltimore, you know, with the mayor of Baltimore on his Crime is Down, Trust Me, Bro tour. And he continues on with this lie on top of the lie that his holistic remedies are the reason that crime is down in Chicago. Let's take a moment to unpack what he's saying, because I want to address the continued lie about, you know, kids being zip tied and thrown in the vans, but also let's also address crime in Chicago as well. Because for those of you who don't know, which a lot of you might know already, but if you don't, we're going to go through this video also. JB Pritzker was on Fox News and got completely torched. I don't even know why he went on. Well, I do know why he went on Fox News, and we'll address that in a second. But he got torched and made a fool of concerning crime in Chicago. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's head on over to Baltimore first, because once again, Brandon Johnson is on tour. So let's do that next.
Mayor Brandon Johnson's been part of the day in Baltimore, talking crime and what's working in cities like ours. He says Chicago's making progress without the National Guard, and he wants people to see the difference. As you know, the president has been threatening to send troops into Chicago to cut down crime. Courts have stopped that move for now. Johnson told Baltimore leaders data shows cities trending safer, homicides down nearly 30%, and he says blocks with violence interruption programs see 40 to 45% fewer shootings. He also points to year-round jobs and community partners as the real drivers. Now the question is whether City Hall can keep funding them as federal money dries up. Johnson says Chicago can stay safer without bringing in guardsmen.
Before we get into Brandon Johnson his lies right now, what's driving down crime is not his holistic nonsense remedies, right? What's driving down crime is the fact that nationally violent crime and murders have been trending down since the end of the pandemic. When the pandemic hit in 2020, all crime, including murders, skyrocketed nationwide. Now what's happening is that as we've come down off the pandemic, Chicago is hitting its pre-pandemic norms 2019, which is still extraordinarily high, and is why people do not feel safe in Chicago, and why, as new polls have shown, 75% of Chicagoans want more police in the streets. Okay? So no, crime is not down because of nonsensical holistic remedies to which he's issuing out millions upon millions of dollars to these garbage nonprofits that are his buddies, and that money finds its way right back into his pockets. Allegedly, that is, right? Wink, wink. We know what's actually happening. But anyways, I digress. Brandon Johnson, carry on with your lies.
Taking over 20,000 illegal weapons off the streets of Chicago, where my local police department is working with ATF to do just that. And so what we're demonstrating is that there's an approach towards community safety that doesn't involve armed, masked men sticking long guns in the faces of poor people and sending Black Hawk helicopters in the middle of the night to terrorize communities.
Johnson calls that real safety, stability, jobs, and trust in neighborhoods. The next budget vote decides how much of that plan stays alive. City officials say they're tracking results, not rhetoric, and they'll need more than one good summer to prove it truly lasts.
Before we get back into the crime, one more time, I just want to... Black Hawk helicopters in the middle of the night sticking long guns in the faces of poor people. Let's have a quick listen to a woman who actually lives in that area and knows what's actually going on, right? And then we're going to get back into the crime and violent crime in Chicago and how absurd the murder rate is in Chicago compared to the two other largest cities in the country, which is Los Angeles and New York, let alone compared to all major cities with the largest population, right? That's going to come next, but let's put this lie to bed once and for all concerning Black Hawk helicopters, long guns in the face of children on the south side of Chicago. It's just so stupid. Check this out.
Chicago, you need to stop lying and saying, and people on this internet need to stop lying and saying that they're coming for Black people. Yes, there was a building in a Black community that was not majority Black because it had been overran by illegal gang bangers. Let's be clear. So why everybody want to keep throwing that narrative around half of South Shore is fucking invaded by illegals. That's the truth. So don't get on here saying Black people are being came for. They're coming because they're in our neighborhoods and our communities. That's why. So yes, they're going to go in buildings where Black people live and sleep because they put them in buildings where Black people live and sleep. South Shore, born and raised. I know what I'm talking about. Stop pushing that narrative because it's not correct. So for those who was questioning about who I am and where I'm at, this is Adam Clayton Powell. This is the building that everyone is in an uproar about. So as I said, South Shore, this is your community, your neighborhood, and this building was not majority Black when the ICE came the other day. Yes, Black people were affected, but this building was overran by illegal Venezuelan gangs. And I just had several conversations with residents who are moving their stuff out of here that confirmed that. So stop letting media put that false narrative in your head that somebody coming for you, because they not. You was born here. You was born on this land. Rise up and stand up on something and stop letting any and everybody tell you something.
I mean, case closed. We should be able to put this to bed right now, right? It's obviously Brandon Johnson's going to keep running with that lie, but I'm not going to keep addressing it. I just wanted to make sure to play my part so that this information is out there. And if you want to share this with folks, let them understand this is just nonsense. It's complete nonsense. But now let's get on over to crime. Let's talk about crime in Chicago, because recently, as some of you may know, but if you don't know, J.B. Pritzker, Governor J.B. Flintstone, was on Fox News, and he got embarrassed, right? In so many different ways. But one of the ways that he got embarrassed is when Brett Baer was talking about crime in Chicago. And, you know, the lie that they keep spreading that, you know, Violent crime is down, murder rate is down, allegedly, right? Allegedly, it's down, it's dropped drastically, and apparently Chicago's the safest city in the country. JB Pritzker got embarrassed, and I want to play that for you right now and unpack a couple of things about that embarrassment that occurred to him. So let's get into what JB Pritzker had to say on Fox News next.
Why does Chicago have the highest murder rate of all the big cities?
Well, we are not in the top 30 in terms of our murder rate. Indeed,
the murder
our murder rate it has been cut in half over the last 4 years, and every year it's gone down by double digits. And if you look at all of the violent crime over the last 4 years,
here's a map.
They've all gone down.
U.S. cities, 17.47 per 100,000 population. Chicago is number one over Philadelphia, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Phoenix, Los Angeles, New York, and San Diego.
What I'm explaining to you
now
is
you're
when
talking
you want
about
to fight
violent
crime. Look, you can pull statistics up.
No, these are murders.
I'm explaining to you that our murder rate has been cut in half. And very importantly, Brett, and you got to hear this, very importantly, we've been doing the things that are necessary to bring crime down, right? We've invested in community violence interruption. We've invested in police.
Look at Fred Flintstone's dumb face. He looks like such an idiot. This guy wants to be president of the United States. He's not even competing right now. The guy, he polls so low amongst Democrats, as far as who they want to run for president in 2028. The guy's not even top 5. He's like number 8 behind Cory Booker. I kid you not. We've gone through this in the past. I'm not going to pull that up again. Stupid looking face. Anyways, so you heard what Fred Flintstone had to say. And Brett Baer pulled the stats up in front of his face. And I want you to really sit and think about and let it process how absurd the homicide rate is in Chicago. So let's get off of Fred Flintstone's face for a little bit and let's come back over here. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 largest cities in America, as we all know, is New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, right? The 3 largest cities. Los Angeles and Chicago and New York, in population size and in landmass, is significantly larger than Chicago. All right. To be exact, right? I want to be exact. As far as population is concerned, New York City has 8.3 million people. Los Angeles has 3.8 million people. Chicago only has 2.6 million people. As far as landmass is concerned, okay, Los Angeles is 241 square miles larger than Chicago, okay? That is 2 times larger as far as landmass is concerned. In New York City is 72.8 square miles larger than Chicago. Okay, that's 1.32 times the landmass of Chicago. Both cities are significantly larger in population size and in landmass. But when you compare all 3 of those cities as it pertains to murder per 100,000, look at New York, 4.50 per 100,000. Los Angeles, 6.95 per 100,000. And when you get to Chicago, 17.47 per 100,000. But crime is down, ladies and gentlemen. Crime is down. Safest city in the country. I don't even know how you open your mouth to say nonsense like this. Brandon Johnson will literally sit and tell you that Chicago is one of the safest cities in the country with a 17.47 per 100,000 homicide rate. And when you factor in Philadelphia, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, San Diego, Phoenix, these are all the top populated cities in the country. Chicago is blowing them out of the water when it comes to homicide. But crime is down, ladies and gentlemen. Crime is down. This is utterly absurd. It is absurd to say stuff like this. It is absurd to say that your city is the safest city in the country. But that's what they do. They get up here and lie. And clearly, at with 17.47 homicides per 100,000, clearly your holistic practices are not working. Clearly, your holistic way isn't working. And this is why the people of Chicago, 75%, want more police on the street. But they refuse to listen to the people. And in not listening to the people, it's clearly costing lives. People who would otherwise be alive, but are now deceased, had Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker actually listened to the people that scream democracy is at stake the most, are the most anti-democratic people in the world. And the irony is they're the Democrat Party. They should change their name to the Dictator Party, because we all see how this has been playing out since Trump has gotten to office. All that dictator talk, all that tyranny talk, all that violent, it's going to be a civil war talk. Look who's the one that's actually initiating all of this. Democrats. And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. Okay. So please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms. And please do not forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. Link to my Telegrams in the description box below and pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. Until next video, peace and have a great afternoon.